Hey there, I'm Celine and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to today's video, which is my monthly reading log and media log and haul for the month of March. Today is probably not a good day to film because I can't talk, but I need to get this done today because I have a lot of reorganizing to do because this month I basically didn't read anything and I only watched like a couple of things. So the wrap-up portion is going to be really short and quick because I did a lot of damage this month, and I brought in a whole bunch of books that are somehow going to find a home. So that's what's ahead of us with the haul portion. That's so bad. Oh my gosh. There's an explanation, and I will get back into that once we get into the haul portion. But that's kind of crazy now that I stacked it all here. Yeah, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the wrap-up portion before we get into that monstrosity. Starting off with the thing that I tried to read this month, and I DNF'd it because it was just way too intimidating for me, and I just was not ready for a read like this. The Lord of the Rings. You're gonna get a video sometime soon on me trying a few different fantasy series and books soon as a beginner. I have been told by a few different fantasy genre lovers to not go into this like right at the beginning just because it's kind of a lot. I didn't listen, I just went in anyway. And yeah, now we're here. This is back up on the shelf with me having only gone 100 pages into it, and I won't say too much more because you'll hear more about it in that video. Should be the next one. I really need to get that up as soon as I finish this book that I'm currently reading. That will go up. But yeah, nothing against the story. I started watching the first movie and I haven't gotten around to finishing that either. So you'll hear about that next month, hopefully. But yeah, Lord of the Rings, tried to read it, could not get through it. I could not get through it, and I was really hard on myself about it, but I was like, it's just a book, Celine, like it's not that serious. Put it back on the shelf. So yeah, that is the only book that I did start reading another one, but that took up a lot of my month just because whenever I had time to read, I was just trying to plug away at that, and it just took up so much time. And yeah, so that's that one. And so now we can go ahead and talk about what I watched. This was a big YouTube month for me. I watched a lot of YouTube just as I was working on things. That's kind of just what I had in my free time. I crochet. I've been busy with orders and things for crochet, but that's just kind of what I've had in the background. And what I decided to tackle on was all of the plot summary videos by Carrie Can Read on the series of Avatar. I had just been getting into and like researching some fantasy books that I could get into as a beginner, and of course Sarah J. Maas is like the fantasy author at the moment. I feel like as soon as like when I hear fantasy, the first recommendation that comes up is like Avatar or Throne of Glass, that series. But I don't personally want to read those just because I've said it time and time again. I've just heard it's like so much spice and steam in there, and I don't want to read that. So I decided to watch those plot summary videos, and I will admit I was having a good time with it, okay? I really enjoyed the story, and what I like about Carrie Can Read is that of course, she's not going to go and explain every single like spicy scene, she just kind of glosses over them, and she's just like, okay, this takes place at this point in the story, but we're just going to skip on to the next part of the actual story. We're not going to go into that. So the story itself was really good. There are some plot holes in there. There are some things that are a little messy, but I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I'm just personally not going to read the books for myself, so I'll probably watch her other plot summary videos just on some other books that she has put out. But I really enjoyed that. Those are like, I think there are, what, how many books are there? 4 or 5, and each of those videos were like at least, no, there was one video that was an hour and a half, but then the rest of them were at least 3 hours long. So I had a fun time with that. That was a really good time. So if you are also kind of interested to see what all the hype about Sarah J. Maas is, but you don't really want to go and read like 700, 800 page books, or you just don't want to have books in your library that include a whole bunch of smut, go forward with that. I think that's a really good way to go about it. Carrie did a great job. She went like really in depth with things and explained things really well. So I really enjoyed that. And then the last thing that I watched the first 3 episodes of A Sign of Affection, the anime. Oh my gosh, I fell in love with that story. It was a little, I've been skeptical on the story for a little bit. It's a romance, shoujo, or is it josei? Whichever one it is, on a girl who is deaf and this guy who travels the world and loves to learn like different languages. It's like a romance between them, and I was kind of skeptical, but I found the episodes on YouTube. Crunchyroll, I think they just put on the first 3 episodes on YouTube for some series, and it came up on my recommended, and I decided to watch it. I love it so much. Just within the 3 episodes, I loved it. So that is the next series that I'm going to be collecting in manga form. As much as I want to go onto Crunchyroll and watch the rest of the episodes, I want to just read on the series, like continue with the series with the manga. So that is the next series that I'm going to collect. But that's everything that I read and watched this month. Favorite songs, lastly, before we get into the haul. I gotta think about this for a minute. There was a lot of really good songs, so hold on. Right, so this was kind of like, in previous years, I've been very into K-pop, but just within the last, I think, like, year or so, I just haven't found any songs that I really loved like that. Until LE SSERAFIM came out with their Easy EP, and that changed things. I love the song Easy and also Smart. So good. They're both so good. Literally those 2 songs I just constantly like would replay for like the first couple weeks that it came out. And the performances of them, I've watched like every performance that they've put out of those 2 songs. They're so good. They feel very like summery to me. I really like those, and it's been a hot minute since I've really liked something in the K-pop genre. So that was nice. And then, so those 2 songs, and then for the third, I'll go with Perfect Portrait of Young Love by the 502s. That one is just kind of in that typical genre that I love, like folk, indie, that type of vibe. It feels kind of very summery as well, more so spring. I don't know. I really like that song though. I just like turning that one on when I'm just doing something just as nice background music. And an honorable mention, I guess I should have mentioned this before with the K-pop, but a new girl group debuted by the name of Illit, I-L-L-I-T, I believe. Their title track, Magnetic, past like day, that that song has been like on repeat. I really like it. I wouldn't call it a favorite yet. It might be in my top 3 next month. We'll see how it goes, but that's an honorable mention. Check that one out. I really like their songs so far. We'll see how they continue with their track record. Oh, one last honorable mention for music. I found a lot of good stuff this month. That's why I was like kind of having a hard time narrowing it down. Bryce Davis. I found him on Instagram, and you know, I love folk music and that type of genre, a little bit of country, and he came up on my For You page and I instantly loved his music. So he is in the folk and indie genre, but he not rewrites, he makes renditions of hymns and hymnals in the folk style. And you know, hymns I like to listen to in their original just kind of melody. I like that, but it's kind of cool to hear it in that type of music style as well. So if you also like, and he writes some original songs as well, he's a really great one to look at just for some Christian folk music. I really enjoy his music as well. But now I got that out of the way, we can go ahead and talk about all of these books here. This honestly makes me really happy looking at this stack of books, but then it's also like, where am I gonna put all this? Because both of my like regular bookshelves they're just kind of full. So I might need to get some more risers, but we'll see. So, an explanation. A lot of these books are used / thrifted. I think I only have like 2 books in here that are brand new. The rest of them I got secondhand. A lot of these are vintage, so there's a lot of like yellow spines in here, which I thought like previously it would bother me, but now I don't really care. So I discovered this used bookstore, I think back in February, and I had a whole box of books in storage that I wanted to get rid of, and I put a lot on Mercari. Like there was like some manga and just like regular novels, but they just weren't selling and they were sitting there for like months on end, and I was just done with having that stack of books in there. So I gathered it all and brought it to them, and I got like a good $90 some in store credit for all of that. And so a good chunk of these books I got for free. Girl math, right? So that's why there's a little bit more than usual. So that's my justification and my explanation for why there are these many books. But we'll go ahead and start on these. I kind of sectioned it out. We're going to go through all of the thrifted and vintage books at the end. So grabbing right off the top, I am scared that this is going to topple over and ruin the books, but I'm going to keep moving. I got a volume of manga. Amazing. I have not gotten a volume of manga in a while. I thought that was falling. It feels like such a long time that I got a volume of manga. I got A Sign of Affection. I told you it was going to be the next series that I picked up. Unfortunately, they did not have any other volumes except for volume 7, and I just fell in love with the story that much that I just picked up volume 7. I never do this. Never have I done this. But this series changed me, so I was like, well, I might as well just have volume 7 on hand. So that is the one and the only manga that I picked up this month. Next, I kind of touched on this. I got this Lord of the Rings Omnibus book. This has all 3 of the Lord of the Rings books. And yeah, I tabbed these two. This is just kind of like the first book, second book, and third book. I got this. This is kind of really beat up, but I want to get a really nice copy of The Lord of the Rings. So for my first time reading through this, I didn't really mind if it was a used book and, you know, a little bit more beat up and used, because this, yeah, I'm gonna read through this, probably tab it a whole bunch, and this will be just like the one that I really read through, and I want to get a really nice one just kind of like for a collector's sake. But this is one that I got with store credit. I believe this was like $8, so really, really good. That is a big hefty one. Next I have The Cruel Prince, which is actually the book that I'm currently reading. You'll be hearing about this next month, hopefully, for sure. Yeah, this one is another used one. It's kind of more used than I thought it was, but it's whatever. If I end up really liking the series, I will repurchase them in the hardcover versions anyway. I just prefer hardcover. Although softcover is really nice to read with. Anyhow, I got this. I'm enjoying it so far. This is for that trying fantasy books as a first-time fantasy reader. So The Cruel Prince, this is a trilogy, I believe. So I just got the first one to start with. Next, what is this one? Oh, yes. I have these next three to talk about all at once. I found a few of the books in the Shatter Me series, and amazingly, they had the first one in this used bookstore. So I was thrilled. So I got Shatter Me, Unite Me, and Defy Me. So tell me why I forgot that this was like 8 books long. I thought, okay, this is like a good like 3-4 book series. I got home and I looked it up and I was like, how did I forget that? So this is probably gonna have to get its own shelf at some point if I really like it. We'll see. Hopefully I have this on my TBR for next month. I really hope to get back in the swing of reading again. Next, ooh, this one I'm excited about. This will probably be my next read after I read The Cruel Prince. This is Powerless. I had also bought this to go into that fantasy video, but I'm not gonna get around to it for that video. I want to get that one out. So this is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This is apparently kind of like a fantasy take on a kind of like a Hunger Games type story, where in this kingdom there are elites and ordinaries, and our main female lead, she is an ordinary trying to pretend to be an elite, and the main male lead is an elite, and he is the prince who hunts down all of the ordinaries. So of course there's got to be some sort of like tension between them in that sort of way. I'm really excited for this. I heard about this and instantly I was intrigued, so I'm really excited to get into this one. And these two, you might, if you can see them, you might be able to guess what they are just by the colors. I got Catching Fire and Mockingjay. I used to have the Hunger Games series, and then like I said, I wasn't really a reader up until a couple years ago, and so I got rid of them, and now I regret it. So I'm here trying to repurchase the books. These two are used and the outside covers are a little bit dinged up, but why I don't really mind is I kind of want to find some custom covers for the Hunger Games on Etsy or something. I've seen people have them for like ACOTAR, and so I hope I can find some for the Hunger Games, because the Hunger Games is one of my favorite series. And I think that's all of the like more YA, although I don't think Lord of the Rings is necessarily YA. Now this one I got just today, actually, when I went out thrifting, and this is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. This is a thriller. It's like a murder mystery type thing. I've been wanting to get into some of her books, so I just found this one just laying there. Guess how much I paid for this? $1. $1, and this is like, I mean, there's just like that, but that's literally it. I don't really mind. Cover price for this is $27.99. I got this for $1. Don't snooze on thrifting, y'all. You can find some really, like, it just depends. Somebody read this, they didn't like it, they're tired of seeing it laying around, they just decide to donate it, and now it's at a thrift store for $1. So yeah, I was so excited to find that. Now these next two books, these are going to be a whole separate video. I'm going to gather some more books by this author. She's one that I've been wanting to try out some of her books, and I got these with my store credit. These are used books, but they're like brand new, honestly. This is A Lineage of Grace and A Voice in the Wind. Both of these are by Francine Rivers. I want to get Reckless Love, but I just haven't found a decent copy. Like, all of the ones, like some of her, like, these less popular books by Francine Rivers are like in really good condition, and then all of the copies of Reckless Love are like trashed. I'm like, what do you do to these books? So yeah, she is kind of the first Christian fiction author that I'm going to be trying, so we'll see how these go. I'm going to do a whole video on reading a few of her books. So this, A Voice in the Wind, is a part of a series, I guess. I think it's a trilogy. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, though. A Lineage of Grace. I'm really excited about this one. I'll probably read this one first. This is a story on 5 different women from the Bible. So Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, Bathsheba, and Mary. So kind of stories on them. So I'm excited to get into these. I've never tried Christian fiction, so we'll see how that goes. But now, all of these here are all thrifted, and they're such darling books. I am so excited about all of these. Starting off with these two here. This is Homemaking by, by J.R. Miller. And these books, this one is specifically on what the Bible says about roles and relationships in a harmonious Christian household. And this was originally published, where's the page? Here it is. Originally published in 1882, but this particular copy is the second printing from 2002. I was born that year, so I was just like, this is coming with me. This one also second printing in 2002. This one is Mother by Kathleen Morris, and this is basically just kind of some entries from the author on things that her mother did in their household, and kind of certain things that she liked, like things she liked to keep in order, and just kind of how she ran the household. And I thought that this would be so sweet to read. So I am also trying to put together a hope chest. And what that is, if you don't know what it is a tradition that women used to kind of follow more so in the 1800s. Just putting together a box of things that you hope to use in the future for your future household and future children. So after I read these will probably go in there, just because I think they'll really come in handy one day, hopefully. This next one is something new in my library, so I'm excited about this one. This is a poetry book. This is the best loved poems of Jacqueline. Whenever I see this name, I pronounce it Jacqueline Kennedy. I saw this and I was like, of course I need to get this. So I've never really read poetry, so we'll see how this goes. I was hoping to read this month, but it just I did not get around to that. So it has poems in here by Emily Dickinson, William Shakespeare, Homer, Langston Hughes, Robert Frost, and then some that Jacqueline Kennedy wrote herself. So I'm really excited to get into this one. My mom will probably read it after me. And next one is Unforgettable by Scott Simon. This one I picked up at one of those little outdoor little library boxes. Hopefully you get what I mean. And I put my copy of Where the Crawdads Sing in there, and I picked up this one, and this is basically kind of a memoir that this son wrote about his mom when she was really sick in the hospital. So just kind of little bits on, you know, the meaning of life and finding the beauty in everything, finding the beauty in being alive, and the devotion of a mother. So I'm really excited to read this one. This one, depending on how I like it, I will either put this back into that box or put it away for my hope chest. This next book is one that is definitely going to be going in there. We'll see. Yeah, it's going to go in there. It definitely has to go in there in my hope chest. This is a book that I have been trying to find for the last few months, but people online were massively overcharging for it because it's a vintage book and there's, I guess, not a lot of them out there. And I went out today and this was just sitting there for $3.50. And I literally, probably the people around me looked at me like I was crazy because I just snatched it like somebody was going to steal it out of my hands. It felt that way. This is Edith Schaeffer's The Hidden Art of Homemaking. So this book, I listened to the Art of Home podcast, and this is a book that they dedicated an entire season to, just kind of a read through of this and conversations based off of this book. And I kind of paused on it because I was like, I really want to find this book and read it for myself, chapter per chapter, and then listen to the podcast along with it. So I'm really excited about this. I'm reading Quest for Love by Elizabeth Elliot right now. So after I finish that, I'm probably going to read this one because I'm so excited for this. This next book, I probably am not even going to read right now as much as I want to. I just kind of want to keep this one special that I hopefully get to read one day with my own kids. This is Little Visits with God, and this is a devotional book for families with small children. So basically, it comes along with a little story, and then, which is basically, it acts like a devotional, and then it gives you a few verses to read along with this, and then a prayer. And I thought that this was just so sweet. So this one, I'm gonna resist the urge to read it, and hopefully one day I get to bring this back out and read it with children of my own. All right, we just have a couple more to look at. This book is so cool. It's so cool. I geeked out about this one when I found it, and then I was telling my mom about it. And anyway, this is Australian Early Settlers Household Lore. That title alone, hello, look at it. Look at it, look at it. This book is so cool. Anyway, this is just basically a bunch of different grannies and mothers. They put together this book on their family recipes and their household hacks, medicinal remedies and things like that. Just old, you know, just stuff from the old days. I believe this is, yeah, from the 1800s. First lady here, Mrs. N. Pescott. We just have, it's kind of random, honestly. It goes into some sections here, like breakfast, lunch, and supper, just different recipes. And then all of a sudden it'll go to how to best hang dry your clothes. And then there's another one on yeah, cure for alls. And then there's another one on how to tan hides. How cool is that? Like, I didn't even know I needed to know this information, or that I even wanted to know this information, but now I can read on tanning hides if I wanted to. This book is just, it's reading through it, it's kind of random. Like, it'll be like, okay, here's how to make beef stew, and then, oh, by the way, here's how to use the skin and how you can tan the hide and how you can use that, and, you know, different butchering techniques. It's such a cool book, and I wish that I could just hand this off to you and that you can flip through it yourself, because it's just, I love this little book so much. Lastly, we can talk about this entire stack here all together. If I can lift them up, this is so heavy. This is Women's Day Encyclopedia of Cookery, volumes 1 through 11. And these, I got all of these books for $10. This is why I love thrifting. You can find the coolest things and, you know, barely spend, like, you don't have to spend that much. These cool books are basically just recipe books. They're cookbooks. But what's interesting is that they include, each book is a little bit different. This one has South American and some Southern Spanish recipes. This one has Russian cookery, Pennsylvania Dutch cookery, Near Eastern cookery, Korean cookery. Let's see. This has Irish and Italian cookery, Finnish, Creole. Where is this one from? Where is this one from? This one has like cheese making, things like that. Belgian, and this one is just American. So these are so cool, and I'm probably, once I get things reorganized, I'm gonna look through each one of these. Oh, this one also has some Jewish cookery recipes. So these are so cool. I was just standing there looking through them, and I honestly was only going to grab the ones that were nice and white like this, because if you can see, some of these are very yellow, and that inconsistency drives me a little bit crazy. But I decided, there's volumes 1 through 11 here. I'm not going to leave random books for the next person who finds these interesting to get random volumes of them. So I decided to just get the entire stack, and because I got them all together, I got them for $10. So how amazing is that? Now my problem is to find where I put this. That is the issue now. So I'm gonna be off now to reorganize and figure out how I put all of this away. But anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Hopefully it's that fantasy genre reading video. Hopefully it's that one. Anyhow, I'll see you next time. Bye for now.